winner by unanimous decision. Certainly to no one's surprise, Alex, a good performance by Wangila.
Right. I mean, I really think that he still has to do more to prove that he can step up in class.
Not a brilliant performance, a good
Kept
performance.
his unbeaten record.
Okay, let's move on to the main event right now. It's going to be Nigel Benn, the challenger, the British fighter, against Doug DeWitt, the champion in the WBO, a middleweight fight. We've seen both of these guys before. Doug DeWitt, Nigel Benn, their styles are almost made for one another, Alex.
Well, that's right.
As far as it being a good fight.
I think so. And as far as being an even fight, too. Doug DeWitt, very, very difficult fighter to figure. Just when everybody thought he was going to go on to maybe challenge for a world title in the mid-'80s, Doug disappointed them. Had some subpar performances, never quite got it done. Lost his first title shot to Sumbu Kalambai, and a lot of people advised him to retire. But he made a comeback. He won the WBO version of the middleweight title, defended it in a very impressive performance last January here in Atlantic City over former champion Matthew Hilton. And I think that fight really breathed new life into Doug's career. He knows that he has to win today, and he has to continue to win, because at his age, with a decade of professional fights behind him, there really are no more comebacks for him. He has to do it today and continue to do it if he's going to get that huge payday that every fighter dreams about.
And when you talk about Nigel Benn, a fighter that as one-dimensional as a fighter could be, I mean, strictly bombs away a power kind of guy, he's been forced to try to change. How far along is he in that change?
Well, Nigel Benn, fighting in England against mediocre opposition, scored 22 knockouts his first 22 fights, was exposed last year, as you see Nigel coming in there, was exposed last year in a fight against Michael Watson in London. As a man who could only fight that one dimension that you talked about, he went out right after Watson from the opening bell, couldn't stop him, couldn't knock him out. Watson covered up, and Nigel Benn was stopped really on a nothing jab in the 6th round. Since that time, we should give credit to Nigel Benn. He has done what is necessary to try to put himself back together, to come back. He moved from his family in London, moved to the United States, to Miami, to train at the 5th Street Gym, got a new trainer, and has had 3 fights against reasonable opposition in the comeback. Did not take deadheads, took guys who could go. He went the 10-round distance twice against fringe contenders in the middleweight division, and has really tried to make himself more than a one-dimensional fighter. Today, he told us, Dan, that he's going to go out and be the old Nigel Benn. He proved to himself he can go 10 rounds. He says that now he's going to go right after Doug DeWitt from the opening bell.
Well, it wouldn't be a championship fight without some music from Rocky, and Doug DeWitt makes his way to the ring to the strains of Bill Conti and Rocky, and a favorite here on the East Coast, Doug DeWitt.
A lot of people pointed out that if Rocky Balboa was as much of a face fighter as he was in the movies, he couldn't have had that beautiful Stallone nose. It's obvious that Doug DeWitt really is a fighter when you look at his nose, or what is left of it. He's a veteran, and as we said earlier, no more comebacks.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the tail of the tape for these two fighters, DeWitt and Benn, and let's check out the numbers. DeWitt 2 years, Benn senior, neither one having problems making this weight. Height the same, and the reach an advantage to Nigel Benn. The WBO rules, the 10-point must system is in effect, the 3 knockdown as well. The standing 8 is not. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, and only the referee can stop the fight. Speaking of the referee, Randy Newman is going to go ahead and call this fight here this afternoon. One of the better referees is Newman. And we have 3 scoring judges, Harold Letterman, Barbara Perez, and Bernie Hardy, all 3 judges from the United States here this afternoon.
There's Nigel Benn being introduced. I mean, really one of the most colorful fighters ever to come out of Great Britain. A fabulous character. Wants to prove also that he's not just hype, that he can really fight.
Well, you talked about, Alex, the work that Benn got over here in the States, and Doug DeWitt, one of the more likable guys, as is Nigel Benn. A lot of personality in this fight here today. 2 nice guys, unfortunately. Nice guys don't always do so well in this business.
Yeah, and if you ever saw a contrast in ring attire, that was Doug DeWitt with a towel over him with a hole punch in the middle of it, and Nigel Benn with about 8 million sequins.
Well, again, we have trunks of the same color. Nigel Benn opting for the sequence. Doug DeWitt a little bit.
Number 1, defend yourselves at all times.
A little more conservative.
Number 2, obey my command. Now shake hands and come out of the bell. Shake hands.
Yes.
Randy Newman, a veteran referee, will call this.
For Doug Benn, Doug DeWitt, he says the key is focus. The key is concentration, especially early when Nigel is the most dangerous.
Well, the one thing Doug DeWitt told us was that I don't think that Ben can hurt me as long as I'm inside. I'm going to try to stay inside that power range, stay inside where he thinks he can inflict damage and not take as much.
A lot of questions to be answered. I mean, it comes down to basically one thing. How much does Doug DeWitt have left, and how much does Nigel Benn have?
And a few times today, we've seen two right-handed fighters fighting.
Doug DeWitt primarily a left hooker. Nigel Benn punching power in both hands. Key question with Nigel is stamina. I mean, he just did a complete El Foldo with Watson when he couldn't stop him. As we pointed out, he has gone 10 rounds twice since then. This is scheduled for 12.
Good uppercut by Nigel Benn. The glove of Doug DeWitt. Oh, and Doug DeWitt bleeding from a cut on his left eye, on the side of his left eye. Doug DeWitt is bleeding profusely from that cut.
And he has been cut many, many times, and he has generally been able to handle it.
And he was saying that it was from a butt. Doug DeWitt was turning to Randy Newman and saying it was a butt that opened this up.
We will find out at the end of the round whether that's the case. They won this title from Robbie Sims. He has 44 stitches over that left eye, and that cut is reopened.
And Nigel Benn really turning it up a notch at the sight of that blood. But for Benn, this is a tactic that has backfired on him before.
Yeah, but I think if I were Doug DeWitt, the last thing I want, oh, he got hurt there.
Doug DeWitt taking some shots to the head.
I just don't think if I were Doug, I'd put my head in there like that to get more damage inflicted. Just can't imagine from Doug DeWitt's standpoint a worse scenario than this happening. Opening seconds of the fight, and he's all busted up.
Well, not only is he busted up, Alex, but he's taking some good blows to the head from Nigel Benn. Doug DeWitt not blocking many of Benn's shots. He needs that jab that he's exhibiting right there to keep him away.
He's desperate for that jab. Oh!
Yeah, there's Nigel Benn hitting on the separation against the warning from Randy Newman.
Randy Newman got right in his face. That's what Doug DeWitt wants to do. Let Nigel Benn miss some punches. Take some of the zip out of his right hand right on the top.
We've got 20 seconds left in the first round. We know we're having a problem with our clock. We'll get a check. Coming up on 10 seconds left in the first round. Doug DeWitt's corner will be busy. His cut man is Ralph Citro.
This is the action in round one where the heads may have clashed, causing that cut.
Ralph Citro, the cut man, was busy. It wasn't bleeding when he came out of the corner, but you can see already it's opened back up.
The important thing here, Dan, is, and this is a very strange rule in boxing, Randy Newman notified the supervisors at ringside that that cut was opened by an unintentional cut. Therefore, if the fight is stopped right now, before 3 rounds have finished, it will be a no decision. And in many ways, it's in Doug DeWitt's best interest, I think, to have the fight stop now, because he'll keep his title. I think I want a bad cut man in my corner.
That's an interesting perspective. We're going to show you the cut closely. You can see it. It's on the outside of the eye. Now, the good news there is, by not being above the eye, the blood won't run into the eye and obstruct his vision. But a nasty cut nonetheless, at least a half an inch long. And Ralph Citro, I have to say, Alex, has done a good job, not bleeding nearly as much. Although we'll see after that right hand from Nigel Benn appeared to land right on it. And another right from Nigel Benn. And Doug DeWitt is not blocking many of Benn's shots.
He's blocking him with his head. He was wobbled at the end of the first round, and his leg went a little bit right there, Dan. Let me just finish the rules. If this fight goes past 3 rounds, then you go to the scorecards under WBO rules. And Doug DeWitt's off to such a terrible start. Nigel Benn would have to totally run out of gas, as he has done, for Doug to get back on the scorecard or for him to continue to go on and turn it around.
Here's Doug DeWitt going on the offensive, but Nigel Benn fights his way right off the rope.
A no decision, of course, would mean that Doug DeWitt would keep his WBO version of the World Championship. And we may not think much of the WBO, but the Doug DeWitt means a lot.
At least at this point in time, Alex, we have to observe that the eye doesn't appear to be swelling, and the cut is no longer bleeding.
That's right, but how much it's changed Doug DeWitt's strategy is a question. How much those punches he took when he was trying to solve the problems in the first round, how much that took out of him. Also, it did not help at all in his ability to win this fight.
Well, but by the same token, I think we have to say that Doug DeWitt... Nigel Benn is down! Nigel Benn appears to be okay.
And let me tell you something. He's been down twice. He's dangerous this early when he's down. He's dangerous. Don't walk in and expect to finish it without getting some punches back.
A look in the eyes of Nigel Benn tells you he's okay.
Man, oh man.
What a finish to the second round.
Whoa. Enough action for one fight already. And that was the old Nigel Benn. Let's listen.
Composed, you're going back. You've lost a lot of punches.
Great play on the knockdown.
You're still ain't going to the body.
DeWitt putting out that jab. Benn trying to go under it. And as they came up, they both went for left hooks. And Doug DeWitt got there the first with the most. Another angle.
A short snapping left.
Watch them both throw left. Boom! And interestingly, Doug seems to be backing up. There are very few people who can back up. He saw the Benn punch coming, seemed to be throwing his own punch as he was trying to get out of the way of Benn. And he still had enough power to drop it.
Look at me.
Look at the cut and look how effectively the corner of Doug DeWitt has closed that cut.
You get it next time. Give him a look.
Ralph Citro, one of the veteran cutmen in this game.
Calm down.
And Doug DeWitt, what a turnaround in the second round.
And he just got, if not even, that first round might have been a 10-8 Benn round. Doug DeWitt got a 10-8 round there on our scorecard, so he's right back in this fight.
This is the third round from Caesars in Atlantic City. And look at Nigel Benn.
This is still early for Nigel. He still has some power left. Whether he can keep that power, cuts open again. Whether he can keep that power is the key of the fight.
I mean, in Nigel Benn, we have to emphasize, Alex, we have somewhat of an unknown commodity as to how he'll react in a title fight the longer it goes. He's not showed great stamina.
Not in the fight against Michael Watson last year, but pretty good resiliency and pretty good stamina in coming back to go the distance twice against Jorge Amparo and Sandalline Williams.
But he's not gone the distance with a fighter taking the toll out of him the way that Doug DeWitt will.
That's right. The distance here is 12, not 10. Good right-hand counter there by Benn. DeWitt blocked a little bit of it.
Oh, good left hand by Nigel Benn. Oh, and there's an uppercut by Benn that gets in.
You might have heard, remember Tommy Hearn saying in the previous special, Dan, oh, man.
Look at the power of Nigel Benn. I mean, he is hurting Doug DeWitt.
Doug is holding on. I mean, he forced that clinch, and very few people can force Doug DeWitt to hold on. In our first 90-minute show, Tommy Hearn said this is going to be a chess match.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people think Tommy should retire. If he does, he does not have a future right now in boxing for boxing. A chess match it is not Benn.
A chess match this is not. Now, there's never been any doubt about Doug DeWitt's ability to take a punch.
Let me just say, Dan, not until recently, he did have a very strange third round knockout to Jose Quinones, and then got stopped by Columbine in his try for the title, and that was very unusual for a man who at one point was thought to have the best chin in boxing. Right now, he's getting hurt by these punches and holding on.
If it is DeWitt's strategy to let Benn punch himself out, I would attempt, oh, and a right hand by Nigel Benn, and Doug DeWitt goes down. What a right hand by Nigel Benn.
5, 6, 7, impressive thing is not just the power, but also the speed that he's getting in there.
10 seconds left in the third round. Can Doug DeWitt make it? Doug DeWitt, his gloves are not able to protect his head.
Fighting just on instinct.
Nigel Benn all over Doug DeWitt after the bell. The crowd is booing.
Come on.
Nigel Benn, look at the crowd.
Come on.
You saw them booing.
Be a little. I listen for a minute,
Tommy
all right?
Gallagher in the
Listen
corner.
for a minute. Extend them a little bit. We're fine. Use the jab a little. All right, I get it.
Tommy Gallagher said extend him and started to go on, and Doug said, I get it.
Look at that right hand from Nigel Benn right on the chin, and then he follows it up.
And the amazing thing is, when Doug got back, after taking that right hand and watch another one comes in behind it, that chopping right hand, when Doug DeWitt was on the stool, he seemed to be totally with it. I mean, he answered right away to Randy Newman. He answered right away to Tommy Gallagher. At this age, though, Dan, with a decade of professional fight, you know, how much can he take?
Well,
and the important thing now is that we're into the fourth round, and if that cut opens up, it might be a sidelight because he might get stopped just on the punches, but if that cut does open up, now they go to the scorecard. He's got him now be once again a couple of points behind.
Alex, DeWitt just hasn't shown any defense. I mean, Nigel Benn is landing punch after punch to his head. DeWitt won't get the gloves up, even early here in the fourth round. Nigel Benn is connecting to the head of Doug DeWitt. Oh, and what a right hand to the ear. And DeWitt's left is clear down by his waist.
And look at the guts of Doug DeWitt coming back, double jabbing. But he's after taking that punch.
I can't believe how he's leaving his head exposed.
The longer Doug DeWitt can survive, the more opportunity he'll give Nigel Benn to punch himself out. Right now, it doesn't look even close to that happening. Benn looks very fresh.
But again, if you want a guy to punch himself out, try to block some of them. You don't want to block them with your cheekbone.
Doug DeWitt blocked the bombs of Matthew Hilton very well in his last fight in January. But this time Nigel Benn has just gotten there quicker and more sharply and not as wide as Matthew Hilton.
And Nigel Benn can see out of both eyes. That's why Matthew Hilton only saw out of one.
A few seconds ago, Dan, he just pawed his right hand. He's pawing it in his right eye. He just pawed it again, as though he may have a problem with his eye. I don't see anything else. Again, he paws on it.
We're over halfway through the fourth round here in Atlantic City.
Yeah, he is cut.
Trying to ask the
I just can't see.
Yeah. Another good right hand by Nigel Benn. DeWitt rode with it.
And you see him paw again. Looks almost like he's been stunned. He has a little bit of blood in the eye. Still throwing murderous bombs.
And Doug DeWitt with his gloves down. You'll wonder how DeWitt's going to go the balance of this fight with his gloves down by his waist.
Just did something very smart there. Fall in, grab him. Don't try to smother Benn. You can't pull out his head.
That's like the first thing he told us yesterday, Alex. That's where he wanted to be, in tight.
Yeah, he's got to be even tighter because he doesn't care right now about his own punching. He's got to.
Oh, and look at the left from DeWitt.
Beautiful.
You saw the head snap of Nigel Benn. This fight is scheduled for 12. This is the end of the fourth. Boy, you got to wonder if they can keep up this pace. Nigel Benn and Doug DeWitt fighting for DeWitt's WBO middleweight crown. This has been a seesaw fight in terms of both fighters have had their moment in the sun, so to speak, but it's been Nigel Benn who's come on to dominate.
If you're asking yourself why Doug DeWitt just put his right hand up, I have no idea. And it wasn't a feint. Anything to distract Nigel Benn. Right now, Nigel Benn is taking his time. He's trying to measure Doug DeWitt. He's trying to make his punches count, pick his shots, not waste energy. Already the cut is open. DeWitt's left eye.
Nigel Benn, no stranger to adversity, Alex. Over 4 years in the Army in Great Britain. Served 18 months in Northern Ireland.
He credits that experience with giving him some of the discipline and able to become a world-class fighter. It's tough to say who this favors right now. This is the chess match Thomas Hearns was talking about. Whether it lasts very long, we'll see, but
another good right hand.
From Doug DeWitt's point of view, it would seem to be pretty good for him because it gives him time to get himself back together after taking such a bad defeat.
You're tied. Don't push.
From Nigel Benn's point of view, maybe he senses his energy going a little bit and he doesn't want to waste it, he wants to conserve it. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, right now, it's the left hand of Doug DeWitt that is failing him, as he's not picking off the right hand of Nigel Benn at all. The left hand is low, and Doug DeWitt's paying the price. Another combination by Benn.
Oh, Doug, he can't pull back like that. He's just pulling back with his hands down.
Nigel Benn being a whole lot more patient this round.
Obviously, the quietest round of the fight, Dan. I mean,
Stop punching. Let him go. Let him out of there.
The cut alongside Doug DeWitt's left eye doesn't appear like it's going to be a factor. At least it's not now. The eye's not swelling. And now the fight is inside where Doug DeWitt would like it to be.
the other thing that the cut does, Dan, is because it wasn't an unintentional butt, and they do go to the scorecards after round 3, you can't afford to fall behind because at any moment the cut could get worse and you got to go to the scorecard. So you got to stay ahead. You can't fight a long-range tactical fight.
This one's scheduled for 12. We come to the end of the 5th. Action in the 6th round. Split small flicker, professional boxing, Doug DeWitt and Nigel Benn. Harsh words for the champion. Oh, what a left hand by Nigel Benn, and he knows he's got DeWitt hurt.
And 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in this 6th round. A long time for Doug to survive.
And Doug DeWitt is just looking lackadaisical.
In the 2nd round, they both threw left, and DeWitt got there first with the most. This time, they both threw left, and Nigel Benn had the power.
Let him go. Let him go.
Doug DeWitt has taken some serious shots from Nigel Benn. Any defensive posture is out the window with DeWitt. He's been hammered. In the 7th round from Caesars in Atlantic City, Doug DeWitt being outpointed and out-hustled and out-hit by Nigel Benn, the challenger.
Already the DeWitt cut is open, not bleeding into the eye. A distraction maybe more than actually harming the vision. If it's not harming the vision, then Doug DeWitt can see those right hands coming.
A good stiff left from DeWitt snaps the head of Nigel Benn back.
But as you saw, it didn't intimidate him.
No.
The cut on the right eyelid of Nigel Benn has not reopened. There is some swelling under Nigel Benn's right eye.
There's Tommy Gallagher, Doug DeWitt's trainer, who's had harsh words for DeWitt in the corner after every round. Not pleased at all with the performance being given by Doug today.
Well, he's got to be concerned. I think he knows that Doug has given everything he's got right now. And tactically, he's not doing what Tommy tells him to do. Whether at this stage of his career Doug is able to, or whether he's just one of those lapses in concentration he said he had to avoid. I don't know.
And another good right hand from Benn, and luckily DeWitt slipped the second one.
Yeah, that was actually good reactions. You're right, Dan. If those had gotten home, Doug might have been down on the canvas again. But he showed good reactions. fights back with a crushing left that more than equals it.
Oh, and there's a good combination by DeWitt. Nigel Benn almost went back through the ropes. More through loss of balance than it was the force of the DeWitt blow.
And again, the left hook by Benn snaps DeWitt's head back and makes him hold on.
Another good combination by both fighters. Doug DeWitt, 28 years old. Nigel Benn, 26. And Nigel Benn loses his balance.
And faking there.
Pretty good job there, Nigel. I'm not sure what it was, but good job. Move into the 8th round of this championship fight. Nigel Benn scored, and look at the left hand from Nigel Benn, and then Benn hits DeWitt as DeWitt is sitting on the rope. And Doug DeWitt is not going to come up.
Hey,
well, he looked like he was going down, and Randy Newman lets him fight.
And that's the Randy Newman that let Carl Williams continue against Mike Tyson. 4. I'll tell you what, Doug DeWitt was hurt worse than Carl Williams.
All right, you want to fight?
Mike Tyson, and he's letting him go again.
The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. If Doug DeWitt goes down again, that's it. That's it.
Nigel Benn is the new WBO World Heavyweight Champion. I'm not sure he was even sure of it, Dan.
Randy Newman, the referee, had no choice in the WBO. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. That was the 3rd knockdown, automatically ending the fight. And Doug DeWitt, Alex, gave me every impression he wasn't coming up after the 1st knockdown.
He showed tremendous guts and unbelievable heart, Dan. But it just wasn't enough today. Nigel Benn did go back to the drawing board. He did make an effective comeback. And give him a lot of credit for it. Let's look at the first knockdown of this 8th round. Left hook. Dougie just crumpled. Right hand, I don't know how much damage that did.
It looked like it
But we
barely
thought,
grazed
now watch Doug try, well, we're not going to let it roll, Bobby. Just let it, all right. He did manage to beat the count. Here's the 2nd knockdown. The right hand, the right uppercutting combination. A classic Mike Tyson combination. Dougie DeWitt was up immediately after that one. Randy Newman let him continue. And then the final knockdown. Behind the jab, Nigel Benn comes in, drills the right hand, puts the left in combination. Dougie DeWitt just looking for something to hold on to. Couldn't find it. Randy Newman waved it off immediately.
Well, Split Malt Liquor, in the name of Nigel Benn, will be presenting a $1,000 check to the Alliance for a Living Ocean, which is an organization founded in 1987 to increase awareness of the need to protect our oceans for future generations. We'll return here with some interviews. Split Malt Liquor Professional Boxing is going to continue after this word from your local ABC station.
Before we get to the fight itself, did you realize when he went down the 3rd time that there was a 3 knockdown rule?
No, I didn't know. He said, my manager Ambrose shouted out to me, goes, no, one more knockdown. I didn't realize that it was in effect.
A little bit of history, Nigel. You lost a crushing defeat to Michael Watson last year, in which you were stopped and really had nothing after 6 rounds.
Yeah.
You said yourself you're a one-dimensional fighter, just hell-bent for leather, punches. But we said that you went back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
You realized that punching alone wasn't get you to the world title. You took 3 reasonable tune-up fights, and then you came back, and there was a totally different Nigel Benn here.
Well, I had to go back to my old self, especially fighting someone of Doug DeWitt's caliber. And I know he's a fighter. And for me to box him and just jab, I wouldn't have won. So I thought to myself, I would match him for everything he throws at me. And, you know, this now is like 10 years since we last had a middleweight world champion in Britain. The last one was Alan Minter, who lost to Marvin Hagler. And now, you know, it's a dream come true. you know, the 5 years I spent in the army, the dedication I've been doing for this fight, it's all paid off in the end, and I'm over the moon. Mum, I told you I'll win you this.
Nigel, it seemed like when you dropped him, first of all, the knockdown, how badly were you hurt when he dropped you?
No, it was an accurate punch what he caught me with, and I went down, but I knew where I was at all the time. I knew where I was, you know, I took a great shot, and that's what a true champion is, one that can take a shot and say, right, bud, let's go. You know, it's got to be able to get off the ground and continue fighting.
After you had him down, you paced yourself. It seemed like you picked your shots, Nigel. You didn't jump right on him when you had him hurt.
No.
You picked your shots, you took your time, you made your punches count.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a hard fight. I didn't want to waste no shots. And thinking about the fifth, sixth round, he caught me with a cut, and I couldn't really see it out of my left eye. But I knew what his intention was, is to throw the left hook, left to the body and left to the jaw, and I knew what he was going to do.
He's a tough man.
Oh my God, he's very tough indeed. But I knew for a fact I could match him.
Congratulations to you. Where do you go for here? Who do you want next?
Well, first of all, I'll sit down and talk with my promoter, Bob Aram, and see where we go. But first of all, I want to get back to England and see my kids. I ain't seen them for 2 months. That's all I really want to do now, is go back, see my whole family, and then after. This fight, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know really how to take this. It's like, you know, a dream come true. Whatever happened, no one can take any away from me, because I set out to be world champion, and I've achieved that, so I'm very happy indeed.
Congratulations, Nigel. Thanks very much for talking to us. Let's go back to Dan Deerdorf at ringside.
Okay, Alex, so congratulations to Nigel Benn, who defeats Doug DeWitt and takes his WBO middleweight crown. When we return here to Caesars in Atlantic City, we'll have an interview with the former champion, Doug DeWitt.
There's no excuses. I guess today he was a better man, and he came to win. And I guess the desire wasn't there strong enough, and I think I've come back a lot of times. They counted me out after knock out the Quinones, and I counted me out after knock out the Calambay. But, you know, and I kept coming back, and I did win a title, and I had a great fight with Matthew Hilton. But Nigel fought a heck of a fight. And what can I say to the public? I think I'm a person of heart, but it really wasn't there when I got in the ring. And Nigel fought a heck of a fight, and more power to him. He's the world champ. And I think that's going to be it for me, because, you know, I should have beat him. But I think, did I have him down, Alex?
Yeah, second round.
Second round, and I should have finished him, or that's really it. You know, I did win a world title, even though he's WBO, and beat Matthew Hilton, who was a heck of a fighter.
How much of a factor was the cut, Doug?
Well, a cut is a cut. I wasn't a factor, because I've overcome cuts and won before. It's a little cut, it's not that bad. But there's no reason for me to go on. Whether or not people didn't say I was a world champion, I did win a world title. I didn't create the WBO, they created it. And I beat and defended it against two good fighters, Robbie Sims and Matthew Hilton. And now Nigel took it from me. More power to him, and I want to thank you for putting me on. And it's definitely quits for me, because when this happens to a fighter who I feel that like 2 years ago or a year ago I would have beaten, it means I got to get out.
Doug, you had a heck of a career. You came back a number of times.
Fine, lightweight.
Nigel Benn.